I'm Anil Kumar, sharing with you an application question based on linear equations. The question here is, a bowling alley has a fixed base cost and charges a variable per game rate. It costs $1.20 and 50 cents for 5 games and $1.2850 for 9 games. What is the cost for 20 games? There are 5 choices given to you. You can always pause the video, answer the question, and then look into my suggestions. Now let's read through this first statement and write down an equation. It says a bowling alley has a fixed base cost. So let's call that as a variable. Fixed cost, let us call this variable as f, and charges a variable per game, right? So per game cost, let's say g for games, right? Per game rate as, let us say, g, and it costs $20 for 5 games, so number of games. So we have 2 costs here. One is the rate per game cost, and then number of games. 5 games, we'll call this as n, the number of games, right? So the variables which we have defined to break up the cost is kind of like this. Cost is equals to a fixed cost, which is f, plus number of games and g, right? So g is games rate. So let's say n times g, right? So where the variables are, f is fixed cost, n is number of games, so if you play 1 game, n is 1. If you play 10 games, n is 10. And g is rate per game, right? So rate per game times n gives you the cost which you additionally incur after you enter in the bowling alley to play some games, right? Okay. Now the second statement is, it costs $20 for 5 games. So we are given $20 for 5 games. So C is $20.50. Let me write an equation here, which is 20.50. We don't know what fixed cost is, but what we know here is 5 games are played. So N is number of games, 5, and G we don't know. So we have to find these 2 rates. And it is also given that $28.50 is the cost when 9 games are played. So F plus 9G. Is it okay? So these are the 2 other statements or information which is given to us. What is the cost of 20 games? We have to find cost for 20 games. That means first we have to find what F is and also what G is. So from here what we can do is we can kind of take away one from the other, correct? So if you take away one from the other, let's do 28, let's call this as equation 2, this as equation 1. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing 2 minus 1, okay? So this take away that to avoid negative signs basically, right? So we get 8 here, f minus f is 0, 9 minus 5 is 4, 4g, right? So that gives us g equals to 8 divided by 4, which is $2. So the rate for each game is $2. Once we know that, we can find what fixed cost is. So let's find fixed cost now. Okay, so we know G is $2. Let's substitute G as 2 in one of our equations. First equation, let's take that one. 20.50 equals to F plus 5 times 2. So F is equals to 20.5, take away 5 times 2 is 10. Is it okay? And when you do that, you get 10.50. Is it okay? So F is 10.50 for us. So now we know what F is and what G is. G is 2 and F is 10.50. We need to find the cost for 20 games, correct? So I don't have space there, so I'll write here now 20 games cost. Well, substitute 20, so this is C, equals to F is 10.50 plus 20 games, and cost for each game is 2. Okay, so that gives us 40 plus 1050, 0.50. So D is the right option. Does it make sense to you? So that is how we can actually find the solution using our equations. Well, since I had to explain you many things, I took a lot of time, but it doesn't really take that much of time, correct? What you basically have to do is find rate of change. So let me give you a shortcut, which is rate of change. So we have 28.50 minus 20.50 divided by 9 minus 4, right? 9 minus 4. As soon as you do this rate of change, you get your answer G as 2. Correct? So immediately you don't even have to write the equation. So rate of change gives you cost per game. Once you know cost per game, then you can quickly get to the result. Fixed cost is how much using the first equation, and that's how you could solve it. Anyway, it all depends on the situation. If this question is in a multiple choice test, then I'll prefer that approach and one of this equation. I hope that really helps. Thank you and all the best.